can she can limp a little on it, or?
Yeah, she has. We have a little harness for her. She just. Yeah, it basically broke the humerus in two.
Yeah, I saw that, but is the
There's
piece of
shrapnel.
shot still in?
All that bright white stuff.
Yeah, I could see that in her side, but I didn't know whether it was in her leg. Ooh, hi. Oh, hi.
My name is Pilar Gosselin. I'm one of the vets at the Bow River Veterinary Centre in Canmore, Alberta. And I'm just here to tell you the story about Winnie today. She is a dog off of the Morley Indian Reservation that we received a call about from a concerned client of ours who was working on the reserve and saw this dog on the side of the road struggling to walk and was not using her front leg. And then he attempted to capture her himself, but was unsuccessful because she was in quite a bit of pain and would lash out out of fear whenever he tried to get close to her. So we lassoed her and put a muzzle on her and picked her up. She was in quite a bit of pain, and we transported her back here to the office and discovered after taking some x-rays of her leg that she had been shot with a high-powered rifle in the humerus, which is the top bone of the front leg. And so you can see the metal fragments of the bullet, and it basically didn't shatter the bottom part of the bone, but it's certainly broken into several pieces. So this sort of injury is quite involved to repair, and we determined that it needed an orthopedic plate to be put on. Now here at the vet clinic we can't fix such complicated fractures because there are board certified surgeons in Calgary that this is what they do every single day, and we sort of leave that up to them. So our only option would have been to amputate Winnie's leg, which would have saved her life, but would have made her a three-legged dog. So obviously, in a young, healthy dog, that's not the ideal scenario. And so through the Cinderella Fund at the Bow Valley SPCA and through the generous help of our friends in Calgary at the Western Vet Centre, Dr. Daves and Timmery decided to come out to our practice and to repair her leg with a plate. So we have what her leg looks like with the plate on. So it's a very large plate with many screws, and all the little fragments of bone that were there before are incorporated into this repair. The wound was cleaned up and flushed out because, of course, when a bullet goes in, it takes in a bunch of hair and bacteria and things with it. So it's a little bit of a difficult fracture to manage. We do certainly have to keep her on long-term antibiotics, and we're waiting for some culture results to come back to see if we're treating her appropriately. So Winnie is feeling much, much better very shortly after surgery. She is already putting weight on that leg. We know that she has no nerve damage at this point, and she is going to stay on some antibiotics and stay resting in the hospital and eventually make her way to the SPCA and hopefully find a lovely, lovely home because she's a very sweet, sweet girl. And that plate will stay in place as long as there's no issues. We'll re-x-ray her in a couple of weeks and make sure that the screws are not loosening off or anything untoward is happening. And the plate will stay in place forever unless she develops a problem, infection, or the screws get loose, then we can take that plate off. But most cases, the plates remain there forever.
And do you expect her to have a full recovery?
Absolutely.
So she should be able to run, play, whatever?
Absolutely, and that's partly why David chose such a large plate, was because she is going to be an active dog. She's a young dog, so you really need a substantial fix there so that she doesn't bend the plate and you know, make this fail before her bones are actually healed. It'll take about 8 weeks for the bones to actually be healed completely together again.
And just again, roughly speaking, if you would have had to amputate, the cost of that would have been versus the cost of having the bone repaired if we would have had to go in, let's say, to Calgary?
So if you're talking regular retail prices, an amputation is probably about $1,000. A repair at the Western Vet Center, you're probably, this sort of repair, you're probably looking at about $4,000 or $5,000.
And that got reduced somewhat because you guys were generous enough to loan out your surgical suite.
Of course, so we donate our, part of our expenses, obviously, to the Bow Valley SPCA, and David also was very generous. These plates actually that they use are used plates that they've actually taken off of other dogs in the past, and so they recycle them and use them in strays and things like that, so to help save with the cost, because just the hardware itself is very expensive. The plate itself is probably $350 or $400, and then each screw is probably $30 or $50. So just recycling the plate, it makes a big a help in things for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the reason that you said that you guys couldn't do it here and it required orthopedic support is partially because it was so close to the joint, is that?
Yes, and it was quite a complicated fracture in that there was multiple pieces. If it was just a one fracture across the middle of the bone, we could have used probably a pin and some cerclage wire, and that's something that we could do here. But just because of the proximity to the joint, the size of the fragments, the number of fragments, and the fact that she is young and healthy and needs a very substantial repair, but not quite a puppy, it really dictated that we had to have this sort of surgery done.
Great.
Yeah.